Imagine, you're in landlocked Oklahoma and you're arrested for whale hunting? Just wrap your mind around that for a minute. Yes, in the Sooner State, a law exists that makes it illegal to hunt whales. It's quite the conundrum considering Oklahoma is hundreds of miles away from the nearest ocean. The origin of this law remains shrouded in mystery, and yet, it continues to exist. So if you're planning an inland whaling expedition, you might want to rethink your plans. Ever think that your fashion choices could land you in trouble with the law? In Greece, they just might. In the cradle of Western civilization, the guardians of history have enacted a law that bans the wearing of high heels at ancient monuments. Why is this, you ask? The answer is preservation. You see, these stilettos and pumps, while stylish, can cause significant damage to the soft marble surfaces of these age-old structures. And Greece, with its rich history and culture, is not taking any chances. Violate this law, and you might find yourself paying hefty fines. The next time you plan to strut your stuff at the Parthenon or the Temple of Olympian Zeus, remember to pack your flats. So ladies, remember to pack your flats when visiting the Parthenon. In Singapore, you might find yourself in a sticky situation if you're caught chewing gum. This city-state has a stringent rule against it, born out of a desire to maintain cleanliness and order. The rationale behind this law stems from past incidents where discarded gum caused maintenance issues and public nuisances. If you're caught selling, importing, or producing gum, the penalties are steep, including hefty fines and even jail time. So, remember to leave your gum at home when visiting this city-state. Ever wonder why the chicken crossed the road? In Quitman, Georgia, it better not. You heard it right, it's actually illegal for chickens to cross the road here. This quirky law was originally implemented to prevent livestock from wandering freely and causing traffic disturbances. If the law is broken, the chicken's owner could face a fine. Quite a unique way to keep the roads clear, isn't it? So make sure your chickens know the rules of the road in Quitman. In the UK, dying in the Houses of Parliament is not only unfortunate, it's also illegal. Yes, you heard that right. This peculiar law dates back to the Middle Ages when the Palace of Westminster was a royal palace. Back then, anyone who died within a royal palace was eligible for a state funeral. To avoid the high costs associated with such ceremonies, the law was enacted to deter people from dying within the Houses of Parliament. What happens if one breaks this law, you may wonder? Well, since it's impossible to punish the deceased, the implications of this law are more of a historical curiosity than a practical concern. So, if you're feeling poorly, maybe give that tour of the Houses of Parliament a miss. In Italy, you'd better think twice before squashing a tomato. Nestled in the heart of the country, the quaint town of Salvatore takes its tomatoes very seriously. It's illegal to squash or mishandle these juicy fruits, a law rooted in preserving the quality of their local produce. The penalties? They're not as mild as the town's marinara sauce. Violators can face hefty fines or even community service. So, whether you're a clumsy chef or a tomato tosser, remember, handle with care if you're in Salvatore. In China, you can't just decide to reincarnate willy-nilly, there's paperwork involved. That's right, in a move that might seem straight out of a fantasy novel, China has a law that requires you to have a permit for reincarnation. The State Religious Affairs Bureau Order No. 5 to be precise. Why, you ask? Well, the Chinese government maintains that this law is in place to preserve the tradition and rituals of Tibetan Buddhism and to prevent fraudulent reincarnations. However, critics view it as an attempt to control the process of recognizing the reincarnated souls of Tibetan spiritual leaders. Breach this law and the consequences are, quite literally, otherworldly. So, if you're planning on coming back, make sure you've got your papers in order. In Lehi, Nebraska, you might think twice before selling donuts. This peculiar law in fact makes it illegal to sell donut holes. Yes, you heard it right. This law was enacted in the late 19th century, a time when donut holes were considered a byproduct and wasteful. The lawmakers, in an attempt to promote frugality amongst business owners, prohibited the sale of these tasty morsels. Now you may be thinking, what's the penalty? Well, anyone caught selling these forbidden treats could face a fine up to $100 or even a day in jail. Quite a hefty price to pay for such small delights, so remember to sell your donuts whole in Lehi, Nebraska.